All right, so we've got our guest here, Rusty Wallace. How you doing, Rusty?
Everything's good. First time I've been over here. I like your room. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. So what are you doing these days?
Well, car dealership stuff. A lot of car dealership stuff. I remember my boss man, Mr. Penske, told me, he said, hey, man, you're going to quit driving one of these days. You better have your act together and ready to go. I said, I hear you. And so, 28 years ago, man, it's been a long time. My first deal was a Pontiac dealership in Tennessee. And a guy calls me up and said, hey, man, why don't you come over for an autograph session? So I went there, and we had like 1,500 people in line. And then I went to Bristol, and I won the race. And he calls me up, and he said, hey, would you come again? I said, yeah. He said, okay, I'll show up. And he says, hey, man, you know that buddy of yours, Dale Earnhardt? He said, would you bring him too? And I said, all right, let me look. And so I called him up, and I said, hey, you want to go to the Chevrolet dealership or this Pontiac dealership with me? I think I'm going to buy it or be a partner in it. He says, okay. He said, if I go to yours, you got to come to mine. I said, all right. So he flew up there, and me and Dale back there 28 years ago doing autograph sessions at my Pontiac dealership. So that's where it started. But then we built more stores. Now we got 8 of them up there. And,
really?
Yeah, I got eight stores. We sell about 16,000 cars a year up there. And the car business has been basically my number one deal. I had
no idea that you were in the car business that much. I knew you had a store at one time, but...
Oh, no.
That's awesome.
Yeah. People get on me all the time. So, what are you doing? What are you doing? I said, man, I've been working at the car stuff for a long time. We've got a beautiful Honda dealership, a beautiful Toyota, a brand new Nissan, a brand new Chevrolet, a brand new Ford, 3 Kias, and a Nissan.
Man. How spread out are these? Where are they?
They're all in Knoxville, Tennessee.
They're all in Knoxville?
All in Knoxville area, yeah. And I just love Knoxville. We have a great time up there. Beautiful airport, great area, ton of race fans up there. And it all started with all that winning I did in Bristol. And that's how I ended up in Tennessee. And so that's basically what I do now. But a lot of people hear me on the radio. I love working with the guys at Motor Racing Network. It keeps me involved in the sport. I do 21 races. I'm at only the Cup races and only the ISC-owned racetracks. So that's what I do.
Yeah. Man, how much do you enjoy doing, I just got into broadcasting last year, and I just wanted something to keep me at the racetrack because I wanted to keep going. You know, I didn't want to stop going to the racetrack because I love being there, but I needed a reason to be there. And so what was your reason for getting into radio, and is it to just be in the sport and be involved and be around it?
The reason was I did television for 9 years with ESPN and really enjoyed it. And when it came time for the contract to end, everybody was bidding. NBC won the bid, obviously. They had all their own guys. And so then my career with television at that point was over. But then I got a phone call from the guys at NASCAR, and I talked to them back and forth, and radio was a fun thing. And so I do a lot of stuff with ISC. And if people don't know what that means, that's the people that mostly own all the racetracks in NASCAR. So I'll go up to Chicago and do their advance work, or I'll go to Watkins Glen, do their advance work. And like this Sunday, I'm the Grand Marshal for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500 in Texas. And that's an MRN duty because they're one of our big sponsors. So you get an invitation to go be the Grand Marshal. And I say, hey, man, you going to have a good dinner on Saturday night? Hey, man, you going to give me a nice shirt? Yeah, okay, I'll do it,
Feed me and clothe me, and I'm there, right? Is that what Rusty Wallace, that's what moves Rusty Wallace these days?
Yeah, but to answer your question, I'm between, the car dealerships are number one. Mm-hmm. Number two is what got me into car dealerships racing, and I don't want to be out of NASCAR.
Right.
So I love the MRN stuff because it's 21 races. The guys are fantastic. They're super knowledgeable, and I love working with them. I really do, and it keeps me at the track, but then not too much at the track.
Yeah.
Because, I like to enjoy myself also.
Sure. I've only had a couple opportunities to do radio, and I found it to be more challenging than TV. With radio, and you can add to this and correct what I got wrong, but with radio, you have to sort of paint the picture. There's no visual for people that are listening, and it seems like it's a more difficult job or a tougher job to really explain to people what they're seeing, what you're seeing, and how trying to explain the rate. In TV, we're just looking at a screen, the same thing that everybody else is at home. We just go, see that on the screen? Yeah, that's pretty cool on the screen. But with radio, and also the baton passing, as you're going around the racetrack, as cars are going around the racetrack, and they're literally passing it from guy to guy around the racetrack the entire, for an entire run. I found that to really be, it was not awkward, but it was just challenging. Whereas TV, you have so many more tools, I guess, and just the visual aspect of it seems to be a lot simpler.
It's totally two different animals. It really is, in my opinion. After being in television for 9 years and now doing radio for the last, I've done radio now for the last 4 years in a row. So, when you're doing television, you're looking at what the viewer sees. You don't have to be calling the race because they're already seeing it.
Right.
And you're basically giving commentary about what you think, when they're going to pit and what you would do and stuff like that. Now, I still do that in radio because we got the play-by-play guys. Jeff Striegel and Alex Hayden right now are play-by-play guys. I'm the race analyst. And so, and you talk about passing the baton around the racetrack. That was my biggest concern too. How do you do that, Because MRN is so exciting and so jacked up, and everybody's like, it tells me all the time, I love listening to those voices and how they really paint that picture, And so when I first got put in the booth, I said, how you do it? I said, okay. Dave Moody generally is up in turn 1. You got Mike Bagley over in turn 3 in Daytona. Kyle Rickey off of turn 4. And as those cars are coming around and Kyle's done talking off of turn 4, it's free game. If you want to pick up right there, pick up. So what I do, I use hand signals. So the other two guys are getting ready to pick up, and if I got something, I'll raise my finger and they go, Rusty's got it. Mm-hmm. So off of turn 4, every time you hear my voice, it's always off of turn 4, most all the time, because I pick up after our last corner guy's done. And so it sounds real complicating, but it's not. It's pretty seamless, when you know when to talk and not to talk. But I like the radio stuff because MRN's got so much heritage. They've been around for so long. You got guys like, Winston Kelly, who runs the Hall of Fame down there. You've got voices that you hear all the time, like Dave Moody during the afternoon on XM 90 or Sirius 90. But it gives me something to do, keeps me at the track, and lets me talk about something I feel like I know about. And so I'm kind of like you in that. You don't want to leave the track, but when you're at the track, you want to have a purpose. And so if you didn't have you don't have you got your Xfinity cars. You're there on Saturday, but you're not there on Sunday. But now you're there on Sunday because of television, and that keeps you tied to the sport. And that's kind of one of the things I wanted to do too.
You talked about Dad and you having a friendship. We wanted to get into that at some point, so I guess we could dive right in. When I was a kid, obviously I was going to the racetrack and watching you guys for a long time. I remember, I was at Bristol. You won your first race. And was around throughout the entire process, all the way up till you win in a championship, and then racing against you myself. And it seemed like your relationship with Dad was just always kind of hot and cold. Like you guys all could bump into each other and be upset for a while, and then maybe friends again. Could you sort of help me understand, I guess, what that process was like with him, and how it could go from good to bad and back to good?
Well, first of all, I'll tell you, my relationship with your dad was really, really good. And we were exceptional friends off the track. You know the stories probably. We spent a lot of time in the Bahamas. We spent a lot of time on boats. We spent a lot of time vacationing. I took my oldest son, Greg, out to the old farm, and your dad grabbed a hold of his arm, set him down, taught him how to shoot a gun. And I was over at your dad's shop one night when it was over in Kannapolis, and we're sitting there, and he's building a brand new Bush car back then, it was called. And he's building a brand new for Daytona, and it was beautiful. And he was really bragging about it. And the whole time he's doing that, he's sitting there drinking some Miller Lights. And yeah, back then he did drink Miller Lite. Okay,
we're going to be friends, but here's one condition: you're going to have to drink Miller Lite.
He did drink Miller Lite back then. And so we're sitting there, and he's telling me, and out of the clear blue, he asked me to come over for some reason. I don't know what it was. And out of the clear blue, he says, "Hey man, I want to show you this new bow and arrow I have." I said, "Okay." I'm like, dude, I don't know about this stuff. So he takes me outside this old building, and you know what it looked like. And he takes this thing, and he pulls this arrow back, and he shoots it, and it goes right through the building. And all of a sudden, I see his eyes get real big, and he's like, oh, crap, and he says, come on. He runs inside the building, and that damn arrow went through the side of the building and right through his brand new oil cooler for the Daytona Bush car. And he blew his oil cooler out with a bow and arrow. And he's like, yeah. And I tell that story now and then because it's kind of exciting, because that's an off-track picture of what your pop would do, you know. But we were really good friends. We spent a lot of time, like I said, in those Bahamas, and then I'd be down there, and I'd come back to the boat, you know, I'd rent, and I'd go down and stay in a bedroom down there, and there'd be a case of Budweiser. He's always screwing with me, you know, always doing stuff like that. But and then one day, I was winning all them races at Bristol and doing real well. And one of our next races to come up was Bristol. And so we're sitting down, we're drinking beer one night in the Bahamas, and he said, hey, man, I haven't been running too good at Bristol. Give me that damn setup you use. I said, I'm not giving you no setup. You know, you crazy? Come on. And I said, and I thought to myself, you know, every time I try to help somebody, I give them the setup, but they only use like 70% of it, so you can give it to them, and it's not going to do them any good.
Yeah.
Because it's going to get filtered out by some crew guys or some engineers or whatever, because they're going to say, oh, no, that's stupid, you know. I said, all right. So I got a piece of paper, I wrote it, and I gave it to him. And I, to this day, stand at this desk, sitting at this desk right here, I gave him exactly what I run. We went to Bristol next week, and I won the race. And I think he finished third or fourth or something like that. And I said, you use that whole setup? He goes, no. I said, well, I don't know what to tell you, man, you know, but I was honest with him, but he did a lot of stuff for me too. You know, when they started the merchandise business, he got me involved in that, and it made some good money. And he was a good guy when it comes to that. But we spent a lot of time off the track. But on the track, we had to race each other, and sometimes it got controversial, and sometimes it was like accidental conversation. I'll give you an example. We're at Michigan. Now I'm gonna back up a little bit.
Sure.
I'm at Richmond. And Gordon took me out at Bristol, knocked me up the racetrack. And the last lap, he wins. I finished second. I said, okay, to bump and run. And I said, I'm not letting him get away with that. And so I rated three races. I go to Richmond, and there's Richmond, and I find myself a couple laps to go. He's alongside of me. I said, it's your turn, big guy. And I stuck him right in the fence. I tore his whole front end clear off his car. He was like, I said, we're even now, okay? And Nava said, he said, yeah, but I didn't wreck your car. I said, well, yours did. You know? And so then the next week, we go to Michigan. And I'm practicing in Michigan. And your dad and myself found ourselves side by side going down the front straightaway. I'm in the inside car. I hauled off into turn one, and I got loose. And I slid up into him in practice. And I put him right in the wall. Holy smokes. I've never seen him that mad in my entire life. He come flying out of the car, and the first thing that rang out of his mouth, I'm not going to take that crap like you did to Gordon at Richmond. That's the first thing he said.
Really?
He didn't say anything about, you know, me and him wrecking. I'm not taking that crap that you did to Gordon.
What?
Yeah. And then the very next time, or the next morning, I'm sitting there, I'm dead asleep in my motorhome, and all of a sudden, bang, 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 I hear something beating on the door. I open the door up, and it's your dad standing there. He goes, hey, man, just blow that crap off from yesterday. I'm over this. I'm sorry, dude. I said, no problem. Okay, that was it. But he was like that. But we would, and a lot of fans like, oh, man, those guys in a big rivalry. It's not.
Wow.
But I would go to those short tracks and win a ton of short tracks. And he would go to Daytona and kick our butt. And he'd go to Charlotte and kick our butt. And he'd go to Michigan. And then I'd go to the road courses and I'd win. And I'd go to, we had these different stomping grounds that we wanted.
Sure.
And then we do crazy stuff like Wilkesboro. At Wilkesboro one time, Mr. France Jr. got a hold of us, and we're talking about T-shirts back in the day. And we went on and on and on about T-shirts and merchandise and stuff. We were having a good time with that stuff back then. It was really, all these different paint schemes and all these things was exciting. So we get in a race, and I come off of turn 2, and he bangs me in the back end. And I'm like, what in the world's going on here, you know? So we run like 3 more laps, and all of a sudden he gets a good bite off of turn 2, and bam, hits me in the back end again. And so, man, I got hot. And I said, I've never done this to a driver, but I did it to your dad. And I come off of turn 2, and he hits me in the back, and I slammed the brakes on. I just locked him down. And he then hit me in the back so damn hard, it tore the grill out of his car, tore the whole front end off his damn car. It tore my bumper all off, and I went ahead and finished second in the race, and he had the front end tore off. And then old man France comes down, and he goes, what the hell are you doing out there, man? I said, just selling T-shirts, boss. And he laughed and went off, and we got over it. But we would do stuff like that, but I really respected him. And he taught me a lot. He made me want to be like him. At times, he made me want to dress like him, made me want to sit in a car all slouched over in a car, you know, when he would take his helmet off and come in after a plug check or something.
Ever make you want to shoot a bow and arrow right through your car? No?
No, I didn't do that. I left that up to him, though. I left it because he was really, but that was incredible watching it that night, watching him shoot that doggone oil cooler out of his brand new car, you know.
When did you meet him? Like, where does it start with you and Dale Earnhardt?
1980, Atlanta. I went to Atlanta and I tested with Penske. I just ran all these ASA races, and I was doing good in the short track stuff, and Penske said, I want to give this kid a try, you know. They put this car together with a guy named Tex Powell and myself and Don Miller. We went down to Atlanta and we tested. I drove the IROC cars, me and Rick Mears, and we tested the crap out of IROC cars to kind of get my feet underneath, to get my sea legs, you know. So then we put me in that 1980 Caprice, and I ran my butt off all day long in that 500, and I finished second, and Dale won the race. I'm looking at that car behind your head. It's a blue and yellow number 2, and that's the car that he won with, and I finished second behind him in. And that's where we first met. And he went to me and said, holy smokes, dude, where'd you come from? You know, and I said, I've been in the Midwest, man. I said, where you come from? You know? And then I met him down in Pensacola Snowball Derby one time. He was running a Busch car down there. It was an old Nova with the fender wells all cut out and the tires sticking out about a foot front and rear, you know. And I said, oh, man, I've never seen a guy drive a car that hard in my life. And he was just wheeling that thing. And I had like my ASA car, kind of swoopy-looking car. And he had this old boxy car. And he was whooping everybody's butt with that thing. But I met him at Pensacola. I met him after we finished first and second. And then the relationship, the conversation started from there. And then when I went over and started driving for the Blue Max guys, those cars were really fast. The late Barry Dotson and Jimmy Maycar and Todd Parrott and all those guys really had those cars.
About what year is this?
That was 86.
Okay.
86, 87, 88, and 89. And my last year with the team was 1990. And in 90, we won the Coke 600 and we won Sears Point, and then it was over then.
So you and Dale were friends. You met in 80, but when did you guys become like Bahama friends?
I'd say probably the Bahama stuff, that was probably 90, 93. 93, I won 10 races that year. And that's when your dad and I don't know if you're going to, this is one of your questions or not, but that's when we get together at Talladega and I go, you know, end over end there, you know.
He flipped you. I mean, you
rolled.
You rolled.
I rolled, yeah, but I know exactly what happened. I mean, it was a big run. We're coming to start-finish line. I saw him coming, and I went down to block him, and I didn't get down there quick enough, and I got my left rear corner into his right front fender, and I went, you know, end over end, and then he calls me in the hospital, and he says, hey, man, I didn't mean to try to kill you. I said, I know. No problem. Then the next week, I show up at Sears Point, in the big speaker, hey, Rusty Wallace to the big red truck, or to the red truck, or Rusty Wallace to the truck. I said, all right. I said, what'd I do wrong now? I didn't know I did anything wrong. And I go up there, and Dale's in there with Bill Jr., and he goes, hey, we always go to the Bahamas, and we want you to go with us. And I went, okay. Wow. I said, that sucker's trying to pay me back for killing me, you know. But we did that for 18 straight years.
Really?
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
So, you know, the water bottle incident is one thing that everybody always remembers, and that was after, I guess, at Bristol, your dad got into you and turned you around and tore your car up. So listening to you talk, it sounds like that some of that stuff, were y'all selling T-shirts? Like, was that really what y'all were doing when y'all would go to the racetrack and have those kind of things going on? And
no.
Like, so how did...
That's just a byproduct of it. And the conversations always arose. We had fun with it, actually, talking about it.
That's what I mean, yeah.
We had fun with talking about, yeah, man, we're going to go sell some T-shirts. That was a slogan, you know. And then we get out there and race our brains out, you know. And the fans were really into it. And it was exciting, but... No, man, we weren't just out there selling T-shirts. No, I hope you're not thinking that type of stuff. But you got to remember, your pop was the leader of that. He was the one that started that whole business and helped a lot of people. You know, myself, Dale Jarrett, Terry Labonte, and Jeff Gordon, and he was the leader of that. Him and Fred Wagenhals, and so a lot of conversation there. But I will tell you. You get on that doggone track, just like you know. These guys, if you want to find friends, buddy, you better find your neighbor, because if you think you're going to have a pile of friends, you know, that you got to race against, they might be friends, you think, but when you get on the racetrack, they're trying to steal your money too, man, and they're trying to whoop your butt, and it gets pretty tough. At least for me, it was.
What was the water bottle the high point of any incident between you and Dale? Would you say that is rough as it got?
Can I tell you how that happened? True story?
Yeah. I'd love to hear it.
All right. I'm going to tell you how that happened. True story. And we're on pit road. Gordon has been kicking our ass. He's kicking your dad's ass. He's kicking my ass. And your dad was sick of it. And I was sick of it. And that particular day at Bristol, I qualified really well. I think like third. And your dad qualified, I think it was fifth. And Gordon was on the outside of us, I think on the start of the race. And your dad come up to me and said, let's do this. And I said, what's that? He said, let's just get this sucker out of the way and check out and get gone. Because that was one of my good tracks, and that was your old man's good track. Not so much for Gordon back then, but he said, let's just punt this kid and get gone. He said, I'm sick of him. I said, all right. And punting him meant just kind of rough him up a little bit and kind of hammer, because we could do that back then.
You root him out.
Yeah, root him out a little bit and get going. So I come off, we get about 10 laps in a race, and I come off of turn 2 and I get loose, and he's right on my tail. Your dad is, We're like bumper to bumper, man. We were rolling. We're not getting it done, We're honking through that field, and getting, next lap we're going to lead the race, I come off of turn 4 and I get loose. And he hits me in the ass. It wasn't his fault. It was probably my fault for getting loose, because we were so tight. And I go spin it around, and I hit the wall, and then I go limp that damn thing around the whole race, Yeah. I'm frustrated, and I get over there, and my son, Greg, walks up to me with just a regular bottle of water. And I was hot and sweating. He gives me the bottle of water. I'm drinking the water, and I start walking down. Your old man, he was down there because him and Terry Labonte just got into it coming off of turn 4. I think Labonte won the race. Dale's sitting down there, and he's got a whole pile of people around him. And I'm mad. And so I started walking down there. What I was thinking was, we had a deal, dude. What are you doing? What the hell are you doing? We had a deal. You're the one that started this whole thing, You're sick of Jeff Gordon. You had it with him. Let's dump his ass and get going, And so I started walking down there. Greg goes, what are you doing, Dad? What are you doing? I said, I'm going down there talking to him. Oh, come on, Dad. Don't do that. Don't do that. I keep on walking down there, and I see him, and he's about 10 foot away from me. I say, hey. No response. I say, hey. No response. I took that bottle. I slung that bottle to get the response, and I meant to hit him like in the shoulder, but I hit him right in the center of the forehead. I hit him right in the forehead, and it was game on. He just blew through that crowd and came over and said, what's wrong? I said, what the hell's all that about, man? You knocked me in the back, and I got to limp around, tore my car all to hell. I said, I'll tell you what, I won't forget it. I won't forget what you did to me at Talladega either. And he goes, you know what? I won't forget it either. We're blah, 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 blah. Then the next morning, here comes the phone call and the talk. Hey, man, forget about that. I'm sorry about all that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And that's how it went, It's just that type of relationship. But at that particular point, man, he had it. He could not take that Gordon stuff, that young kid coming in kicking our asses. And he was. Jeff was just putting it on us, boy. And we were sick of it.
You actually cleaned up that conversation, because we were watching that video just the other day. That conversation had a lot more color in it. You did a nice job cleaning it up a little bit.
Well, I just...
Yeah, because you guys...
So you could tell that, right?
Well, yeah. But, now, there were no punches thrown.
No.
But I want to tell you something. J.R. Rhodes was in between you guys. J.R. Rhodes being Dale's guy. And J.R. tells a really good story from his vantage point, where he said afterwards, Dale got on to him a little bit, and he said, JR, always leave me a hand. Because I guess JR was holding him back and basically wrapping him up. Although Dale Earnhardt had, there was a couple times where he kind of does something on your face. I don't know. I don't even know if there was a big crowd. It was chaos. But
I got to go back and check that one. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Like he kind of goes up like a little love tap. Not a slap, not a hit, nothing. Yeah, kind of like that. Maybe like friends would do. But Dale Earnhardt said to JR after it was over, always leave me a hand. Just in case. You never know that Rusty
right.
Rusty may just swing one time.
No.
So that we had Jeff Gordon on the show a couple shows ago, and he said that he felt like that his early success, that you had a problem with it, and you just, I think you just said that you and Dad both had a problem with it.
I had a big damn problem with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man, I was jealous.
Really?
Yeah, because it was me and Dale. It was me and Dale winning all them races. It was we were just getting it done, and all of a sudden here this young kid comes in and whole different style than us. I'll tell you that now.
Wow.
Dale's solid black clothes everywhere he went. I'm this kid out of the Midwest with got a big mouth going on, and here comes Gordon and
making it look easy.
And he wasn't making it look easy. And I'm like, man, I'm not liking this, you know. And you know, you could tell me I was supposed to be more humble, but I wasn't, man. I wasn't liking it a bit, you know. And that's what it was all about.
I think one of the toughest things that I remember you going through, and looking back at your comments during that time, was the win at the All-Star race. Obviously, winning the race was great, but I think the fan reaction that happened from that with spinning Darrell, or Darrell spinning himself across the front of your car, however you want to categorize it.
That's how Bobby Allison says it, right?
Yeah, right. He backed into me.
Yeah.
I remember those. I remember comments from you shortly after that, and how I guess upset or hurt you were by the fan reaction, because it was pretty harsh. What would you describe as probably the low point in your career? Was that it, or was there another time that I'm not thinking about?
No, I think you're dead on that one. Probably the low point in my career was then, because I mean a lot of rough driving, a lot of exciting stuff going on, and I'm in that race, and it's no points, it's all for the money, and I win the first segment. Second segment, they come in, and somehow those cars had bias-ply tires back then, and I'll never forget the number. We had an 88.5-inch right front tire. We had an 88-inch right rear tire, and so we accidentally got the right rear tire put on the right front, and the car's it's pretty loose, you know. In that second segment, Darrell beats me, but mentally, I know I got the best car. Barry Dotson comes across the radio and says, "Hey, man, we made a mistake. We got the right side tire swapped. Just drive it." So all right. I'm sorry, this was after the second segment, after I came in. They took them off and saw it then and went, "Oh, man," he said, "we're just sorry about that, blah, blah, blah. Glad you drove it like that." So then I'm like all jacked up. I said, "I know I got this baby right again. I got another shot at winning this thing." So in the third segment, Darrell takes off, and I catch him. And I sail it down into turn 3, and it's sticking pretty good. And I get in the middle of the corner, and I slide up, and I get in his left rear quarter panel, and it takes a spin. I'm like, oh, that's just dramatic stuff that happens here all the time, you know. But man, I'm telling you what, then they took me, put me in the victory lane, and everybody's going crazy mad at me. Like, dude, what in the hell did I do to get everybody this mad? I mean, they're really mad. And the pit crews are fighting. I mean, they're beating the crap out of each other on pit road, and all hell's breaking loose. I said, okay. They said, now it's time for you to go up to the what do you call that thing up there at Charlotte Motor Speedway? The Speedway Club.
Yeah, the Speedway Club.
Time for you to go up to Speedway Club, because they always took all the winners up there after the race. So I got ready to go up there, and they said, "Man, you can't take you on a golf cart. It's too dangerous." I go, "What?" So I go, but there's an ambulance waiting for me behind the doggone victory lane. They put me in an ambulance and drive me around, take me up there, and they walk up into the Speedway Club, and Humpy Wheeler says, "And the winner of the All-Star, Rusty Wallace, let's give him a hand." And everybody went, boo.
Really?
Everybody in the whole place went,
oh my God,
boo. And I'm like, okay. They put me back in the ambulance, took me back downstairs, and drove me to my house over in Charlotte in that damn ambulance.
Wow.
I go in there in my house. I go to sleep in this old recliner for a while. Then I went upstairs and went to bed. And they sent 2 police officers over there. They stayed in my house that night. And my daughter, Katie, comes running downstairs, said, "Dad, there's 2 police officers down. What's going on?" I'm going, "It's a long story. I'll tell you later." You know, so I wake up next morning and tell them all what happened. But it was dramatic as hell. And it went on for a long time. Every race, boo. Every race, boo. And finally it stopped, you know.
Yeah.
But it was like, I still don't know to this point what caused that to be so dramatic.
I agree. I found that I found that really surprising too, because it actually, like, you spun out a fan favorite. I mean,
That's right. It was DW.
DW was kind of, I mean, he had his fans at the same time, but he was often booed as well because he won so many races. But and 2 years prior to that, we've basically seen one of the wildest, roughest shows in the 1987 Winston All-Star race with Dad and Bill Elliott and Jeff Bodine. And I, like you, was really surprised by the reaction, because that was sort of the norm for racing back then. You saw it almost every other week, guys getting in each other, moving each other out of the way. But I remember you being pretty beat down or disheartened about the reaction of the fans. I think, though, over time you sort of earned back that trust and fan base.
Well, I tell you, I noticed it changing a little bit. In Alan Quickie, when Alan got killed in a plane wreck in 1993, I think everybody knew him and I were really good friends. And go to the track that night. Alan gets killed in a plane crash, and then I win the race. And I do the reverse Polish victory lap like he did all the time. I was just trying to honor him, you know. And I don't know. I noticed after that people got nicer. They got a little nicer, and then it got better, you know. And Darrell and I have always been good friends. We still are good friends. And believe it or not, people won't believe this, but Jeff Gordon and I are really good friends. We got back from out there in the sand dunes. Well, it was about 2 months ago. Me and him and Greg Biffle and Ray Abraham and all of us out there at a guy named Ron Porat's place having fun. So we get along real good. But back when we were racing, man, it was tough. It was strong. Those relationships, we would race the hell out of each other on the track, and it was possible to get along during the week.
Yeah. The other thing that stands out from that conversation and that story you're told was when you won the Winston, you went home and took a nap. Like y'all didn't go raise hell, or like Barry, you were. Dude,
I was so beat.
You named some of the biggest hell raisers on your team, Barry Dodson and Maycar and those guys.
Notorious. Yeah.
I needed to learn better from you when it come to that. I really did, because I know you're good at that, and believe it or not, I'm damn good at it too. But
I know.
But that particular night, I didn't exercise it for some reason. I think it was because I was locked in that ambulance all the time. They wouldn't let me out. I wanted to raise hell and have a hell of a time at that Speedway Club when they took me up there. That was going to be the start party. That was going to be game on. It was going to carry on. But boy, when everybody in there booed me, I went, dude.
Sort of a buzzkill.
Yeah, I can understand 4 or 5 of them, but not one like every one of them.
Yeah. This is interesting. I mean, like all those years watching you and Earnhardt and all these guys, I mean, like I would have never guessed that, you know, what the fans thought about you affected you to the point, but you just said that was a low point for you. So, like, you do want to be liked. You did that.
Well, everybody wants to be liked. You don't want to get booed. You know, you can win all the races you want, like Kyle Busch. He can win. I don't care if he wins 1,000 races, but man, I don't want to go across there and everybody go boo all the time.
So it did affect you.
Hell yeah.
When you say low point, what do you mean? Like, what did it do to you, just emotionally?
It makes you go up there and want to put your finger in your ears when you get your name announced. And It didn't make me want to get mean and mad at everybody and I'll show you and just be a jerk. You know, It didn't make me want to do that. It was just like, man, I don't want to be like that. I want people to like what I do, you know.
Did it ever affect the way you raced?
I want people to cheer me and boo me like they do Dale Earnhardt Sr. Right. That's what I want. I don't want to be primary boo, boo, boo. Not boo. Or not boo! I was getting boo.
Look,
I don't want that low boo, man. I want that high boo. You know,
you don't want ambulance rides anymore.
No, dude, I don't think anybody wants that crap. You know.
I gotcha.
So you talked earlier about where you were winning races. You mentioned the road courses. How you don't have a road course background? Like you didn't grow up racing road courses. How did you get to be so damn good?
I went to Bob Bondurant, out in Sonoma, California, and I ran. And I'll never forget the last day. I was about to graduate from my first road racing school with Bob Bondurant, and I'm out there running. And he had Paul Newman out there, and he's teaching Paul Newman too. And so I'm driving a Mustang, I think it was, and they were in like an old LTD Ford or something with some big fat tires and stuff on it, and they're out there running around. And so I had like 2 laps to go in my course, and then I'm done, you know. All of a sudden, I see this old car come behind me. I'm thinking, it's Bob Bondurant, you know, and the guy pulls up in this LTD and just pounds me in the ass, you know, in my Mustang, you know. And I pull in, and I get out of the car, and I look back, and it's Paul Newman. He caught me just beating on me. He's a hell of a road course guy. That Newman was really good, you know. But then, so I went to Bondurant. But then the biggest thing that really helped me is then the Barry Dodson and the guys and Jimmy Maycar and Harold Elliott and all those cats, they built me a full-blown road course car. They really put a lot of focus in on primarily right-hand turn cars. Because back then, people were taking their short track cars and putting the gas tank in the other side. That's all they did, you know. And they treated road course racing as a nuisance. It was like, man, let's just get through this thing. But Barry wasn't like that. He said, I'm going to build a hot rod car. And then now we're going to go test. We load that old truck and go all the way to California. And we tested and tested and tested and tested. Went through every road course ratio, and those were Jericho transmissions back then, did all that stuff. And when I showed up, I won.
Yeah.
And before they shut Riverside, California down, I won the last 2 races. I got a T-shirt, starts at the very top with Pernelli Jones, Mario Andretti, and all these names. The very, very bottom, it says Rusty Wallace. Then they mowed that sucker down and turned it into a mall or something, you know. So that was a big deal. But then it just kind of got the rhythm, you know. And I think that the racing on bias ply tires on a road course taught me a lot too. I call it body English. I could learn how to throw the car. I would throw the that and throw it back and forth and throw it back and forth. And then when the radial tire came out, I had to calm that down a little bit. But it still got that aggressiveness that I think that you need in road course racing. And I just love that style of racing.
You went to Bob Bondurant's. Me and Steve Park went to Bob Bondurant's in 1998, 99. I ended up winning at Watkins Glen over Ron Fellows, and Park won his second Cup race, I think, or his first Cup race, I think, at Watkins Glen. So, I mean, at Bob Bondurant School, if you go there, that was a really big deal back then. I'm sure it still is today, but a lot of guys would go out there, and you could literally learn how to become a road course racer.
He taught you a lot.
It was incredible.
He really did, And the only thing I failed on, I don't know if he did this to you or not. Did he put you on that doggone machine where they jacked the car off the ground a little bit?
No.
So it was like a slick track thing, There's an official name for it. I forgot what it was. But anyway, they take your car and they put caster wheels on the outsides of it. And they lift it and take all the weight off it. And when the car gets sideways, you're supposed to control it. Dude, I spun that thing and spun. I could not master that at all. I finally just gave up on that,
That would be impossible, close to impossible, it seems like. What made you so good? All right, so you were winning at road courses often and early. You won at Watkins Glen on like your third start, right? I mean, it was pretty quick. So what made you so good at Bristol, though?
I think what got me at Bristol that I love short track racing. I cut my teeth in the short track stuff. Winchester, Indiana, Salem, Indiana, big high bank racetracks, and all the stuff in the Midwest. And you got to remember, when I came out of short track racing, and Alan Quickie came out of it, and Davey Allison came out of it, and even yourself, I'll guarantee you what I'm about to say you're going to agree with. All you went to bed with every night is thinking about your car. You're thinking about your old shock and your spring and your tires, and it's all you're thinking about. You're not having a conversation about something else, because if I had a conversation about something else, it's going to hurt my racing, man. I had to be 100% into it. So when I went to Bristol, all I was thinking was, how am I going to get these four tires to stick to the ground? I got to get my sway bars and my shocks and my springs. That's all I did. And then I went to a short track, and I won on a short track. Duh. Kind of makes sense that my first win would come on a short track. Not at Daytona.
Yeah.
I don't know how to draft,
But doesn't everybody start on a short track?
Yeah.
I mean, like you weren't original in that regard. Everybody starts on short track.
Yeah, but you know what? Not everybody is as passionate as about wanting getting mechanically about their car.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that aren't super passionate about wanting to understand every nut and bolt on their car.
Okay.
And I was. And Alan Quickie was. And Davey was. Taught by his father, Bobby. And I tell young kids nowadays when they come to, hey, man, I want to be a race car driver. What do I need to do? I said, well, you need to get in that shop. And if you get a chance to get in a car somehow, you better understand everything about it. Because if you don't, you might go out there and win, but you're not going to win on a consistent basis. Right. You're not going to stay winning. And you get yourself in a ditch. Most of these guys got to turn to somebody else to have them pull them out of the ditch. You got to have some ideas. And back then, we didn't have no computers. You got to remember that. There's no simulation, no computers, no nothing. You had to figure it out. I'd come off the racetrack, and the first thing that happened, a crew chief would stick his head to it and say, what's it doing, and what do you want to do? That's how the conversation went. What's it doing, and what do you want to do? I said, take that 1700 out of the right front, put an 18 in it. Take that 350 out of the right rear, put a 3 1/4 in it. Give me 2 rounds of bite, drop the track bar a 1/2 inch. Okay, hurry up and get that done. Go back out. And that's what we did. And we kept going out. And I've seen some drivers get so frustrated, they go, man, I don't know what to do. And that's it, but I wasn't like that.
Yeah.
And so when I got in those short track cars, I was always into that chassis stuff, and that I think it helped.
Yeah, one of the things that people would say about Rusty Wallace was that he would get during the race or during practice, Rusty would call for the changes that he wanted in the car. Whereas, even more so today, guys come in the garage, park their car, the team, gets the information, decides what to do, what's the next change. They might already have a list made that they're going to go through. But Rusty, and not a lot of guys were like that back when you were driving in the 80s and 90s, but Rusty knew every spring, every shock, and so when he was out on the track driving the car, he was thinking about what it needs, and he was telling the team more often than not, what part to change, what change needed to happen. And yeah, I think you were definitely one of those guys that knew every nut and bolt about their race car.
Now, if I tried that nowadays, I'd probably get thrown out of the garage,
Yeah.
because team members now, they're so smart and they're so good at what they do, and the whole game has changed. And I talk to a lot of current drivers, and they say, man, if you get your head in there and you tell them to do this, it doesn't fly too good. They need to do that. They don't need you messing it all up, because you can't do the same stuff nowadays like I did back then.
But I almost want you to try. I mean, like, just one weekend.
That was something I wanted to talk to you about. I believe you said a few times that you felt like maybe you might have retired too soon, like you had a few good years left.
Yeah, I think that started because, did you ever have anybody come up to you and say, hey, man, how much longer are you going to drive?
All the time.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that started with me. And one guy that's a great friend of mine that got under my skin, it was at Indy for the Brickyard 400, was Jerry Punch. And I like Jerry a lot. Great friend of mine. And he walks up to me randomly and said, hey, Rusty, he's interviewing me. We're talking. And one of the last questions was, how much longer do you think you're going to stay doing this? And I'm like, why in the hell would he ask me that question, And then all of a sudden I get these questions from somebody else, hey, how much longer are you going to keep on going? And then I'm down at Daytona one time, and Bill France Jr. comes up and said, how much longer are you going to keep doing this? And I'm going, okay, I'm getting all these questions. There's something going on. Because what was going on, the reason I'm getting these questions is because I was on like a 65 race losing streak.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And they're like, oh, man, everything's going the wrong way. Probably the same stuff Jimmy Johnson's getting,
Right.
currently.
Right.
And so I got thinking about that. And then I go to the banquet, and I'm hearing these TV guys wanting to start doing this stuff. They start coming up to me, wanting me to go to work and do TV. ESPN was one of them, and asked me to come up and rehearse. And I did all that, and they liked all that. And so then I tell RP about it, and he goes, you know what, man, you've accomplished everything you really have done in this sport. I know you want to win Daytona, and you haven't done that, but everything else you're pretty well done. And he said, maybe it is time to start thinking about it, And I said, okay. So then I get this offer from ESPN. I said, let's do it. Let's pull the trigger. Let's go announce it, And so in 2004, I announced I'm going to quit. And I'll never forget, I'm at Homestead, Florida, 2005. Finished like 11th in a race or something. Pull off the track, and I'm going, this is the stupidest decision I ever made in my entire life. What in the world am I doing, Well, how did I get myself talked into this? How did I go down this road? And I got out of that car, and I was the emptiest I ever felt in my life. And then I go around, the very next thing I do, I go to an IndyCar race because ESPN didn't get the deal till 2007, and I retired in 2005, so I had an 2006, nothing going on, so I want you to call Indy. So I called the Indianapolis 500. I did all this stuff and had a great time doing it, but I just felt empty, Man, it was, and that took a long time to get over.
Right.
It was, and still, I was standing in front of your building a little while ago, and there's 6 kids out there with a bunch of die-cast cars, and so I sure wish you get back in the car, man. Come on, get back in the car. Why'd you do this? That was a stupid. And the guy looked me in the eye and said, that was a stupid move. And I go,
How long did it take you to get over it? 5 years?
It took me longer than that. It took
10?
me like 8 years to get over it. And I got a phone call from Daytona. They want me to go to Daytona and run a Ferrari in the Ferrari Challenge. Had 123 cars show up. And I thought I was just going down to do a show. And they said, no, man, we want you to go down there and be serious and try to win this Ferrari Challenge event. So why you want me? He said, because you're not driving now. And Ferrari said, get one of those retired NASCAR guys to compete with our guys, And the Ferrari Challenge cars are super fast cars, they're 200-mile-an-hour cars. I went to Austin, Texas, and tested for 2 days in this Ferrari. Then I went to Daytona. 123 cars showed up. I finished 10th. And I was pretty happy with that. And then I got the juices flowing again. I said, man, I got to get back in this car. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that.
What year was that?
Then I got drunk one night with one of my friends, and this is a true story. I was up
Finally, he gets drunk.
I was up in the mountains. I was up in the mountains, and I'm sitting there one night, and a friend of mine was there, and there was a guy named Billy Nash. And Billy and I were having some beers, and he said, I was stupid you getting out of that car. And Childress was calling me. He said, man, he said, as soon as I retired, he's like, you need to get back and get in one of my cars. So I called him up and said, all right, I'm going to come out of retirement. I'll drive your car. He says, I can't do it. I said, why? He said, I just hired Clint Boyer. I got no room now.
Oh, wow. So did you ever get an offer that you really considered?
No, I never did.
Was there any rumor that DEI called you at one time to see if you wanted to come drive for DEI?
No. Never did get that.
Wow.
Not that I know of, you know.
Okay, yeah.
But that's kind of that stuff. you know? I think about it all the time when I go to, like yesterday at Martinsville, I see my old car win the race. The 2-car wins, and it doesn't win by a little bit. It just dominates,
Right.
Wins both stages and wins 445 laps.
Yeah.
I used to call that every time I would win these old races. I get out of the car and I tell old Roger Penske. He said, "Man, that went good." He said, "What'd you do?" I said, "I popped open a can of whoop ass, man. Is what I did." and that's what that was yesterday or the other day at Martinsville.
Without Dr. Jerry Punch starting the string of questions, and without that, what year do you think you would have raced to then? Without the pressure to retire?
Probably 08.
So another 4 or 5 years.
Probably 3 more years. If you remember, Mark Martin and I, we announced almost the same time that we're going to retire together. And we retired, and we went to Sears Point, and Fox brings out rocking chairs for both of us.
I remember.
Presents that to us in a start-finish line, and we're getting keys to the city all year long. We're getting all these accolades and all these cool things. And 3/4 way through the year, Mark says, "Nope. I've made a mistake. I am not retiring."
Right.
And then he just pulled out of the deal. And
Did you look at him and go, maybe I should do that too?
yes.
Right.
Hell yeah, I did. I said, so I'm out here in this island all by myself now, and I'm retiring, and I'm still think it's stupid. But I had one of the smartest guys in the world, and that's Penske. He said, "Don't listen to that noise. You're making the right decision. You're making the right decision. You need to start focus on those car dealerships. You need to start focus on business, and you need to get that race car stuff out of your head right now. You've done that." And I said, "All right." He's the one that calmed me down the very most. And my wife, Patty. Patty was like, "For sure, it's great having you at home, and it was just, she liked that better.
So being sponsored by Miller most of your career, did you race the other beer cars a little harder than everybody else?
Yeah, I think I had to a little bit, Because, boy, I tell you what, it was like the big three in Detroit. If a Chevy beats a Ford, everybody talks about it. Well, that's Miller guys. They did not want to hear that Budweiser car beat that other car.
That's
so,
true.
Yeah,
that is absolutely true. I
Yeah.
remember from our Budweiser days.
Our Budweiser guys are the same way.
Yes.
When they looked at the finishing order, they want to know where the Miller car was and the Coors car was.
Yeah.
100%.
I asked that because one of our listeners hit us up on social media and said it seemed like he always raced you harder than everybody else, and I felt that too on the racetrack. I felt the competition, I think, between our sponsors, and I was racing the field and the Miller car, and the Coors car, but I remember one of the first lessons that you taught me. You might not even been intentionally trying to teach me anything, but we were racing at Atlanta in 1999. I had a 5-race schedule. And I had never ran on a big track before too many times. Didn't have a lot of big track experience. And we went down into turn 1, and you were on my door, and I almost spun out. I'd never been in that situation before where you could take the air off of the side of a car, and I almost spun out. We raced all day long, it seemed like, that race. And I learned so much. When you're in that point in your career, this was 99, you were inevitably put with younger drivers as teammates. Did you feel like you were a mentor? Did you enjoy having teammates, working with teammates, teaching younger guys, or was that sort of, kind of on the back burner compared to what you were trying to do with your own career?
Look, I got to tell you, I'm not proud of what I'm about to say. I was never good at that.
Yeah.
I was never good at saying I'm going to get a teammate and I'm going to teach a teammate. I remember when your dad came up to me and children said we're going to get a teammate. He told me, I'm sick of this teammate crap. I said, why? He said, because I'm the veteran and I feel like I got to be spending half my time teaching them. He said, they're not coming up teaching me. They're not helping me. All the information is flowing the other way and it's draining me. I don't like it, And then my particular deal with Newman, it just got competitive. And it was just personalities were totally different. It got to where he didn't like me and I didn't like him, and that's what it was, And I tried to get better, and we had hot and cold years, but I just wasn't real good at all that teammate crap. I really wasn't, And I remember I was talking to Rick Hendrick about it, and I told him one time, I said, man, we're talking about getting a young guy and this and that. And he said, hell, if I need a young guy, I'll go find one and steal it from somebody else. That's what he said.
That's right. He
said, I'll go find one and steal it from somebody else. He said, this tutoring all this young guy stuff and spending all this money, let somebody else do it. And so I'm happy that guys like you and guys like Kyle Busch are spending all that money and time bringing these new guys up, because nobody else is probably going to do that.
I want to ask a follow-up to his question. When Budweiser took their sponsorship from Hendrick over to DEI to put it on this guy's car in 2000, they put a lot of money just in the announcement. I mean, I remember him talking about the most nervous he's ever been in a race car was that first qualifying for Charlotte in 1999. What was the reaction from your side of the camp? Not just so much that, your good buddy Dale Earnhardt's son is now in Cup. He's now won 2 championships in the Busch Series and NASCAR Cup, but now Budweiser is backing him. What was your thought to that?
It was a big buzz because Dale can drive a car. He's a popular as hell. He's a great driver, and it comes from an incredible family, so they knew what was happening. They knew that sponsorship was going to one hot rod car and one hot rod driver. So hey, it was competitive. There's no doubt about that. And I'm not sugarcoating this at all. I know you know what I'm about to say, man. I said these beer companies, I don't care what they say. They hate each other.
Yeah.
They don't like each other. Understand what I'm saying right now. Budweiser hates Miller, and Miller hates Budweiser. That's just the way it is. It's so competitive. It's incredible on the field. And I've learned out right away. I said, man, you guys are mean, dude. What's going on here? I'm in the Bud shootout in Daytona, and I get a Budweiser guy comes up to me because I'm in the Bud shootout, and he's super nice to me, and I'm like, I said, I don't trust this dude, There's no way he can be nice, because they all hate each other. The guy was truly nice to me, but I was having a hard time understanding that.
That's interesting. Yeah. No, not only did they hate each other, but we learned really quick that even for Anheuser-Busch, there was multiple brands, and the brands didn't like each other. Like everybody's like, it'd be cool. You run a Bud Light car. Do you understand? That would be almost as bad as running a competitive beer brand car. Like the Budweiser guys paid for that. They didn't want Bud Light on their car.
Especially Budweiser, because Bud Light was outselling Budweiser.
That's
right.
Budweiser
was like, hell
no.
We
The
put
last
Bud Light on that car.
Right.
That's awesome, man. Well, so you have Stephen Wallace, your son. He races. Me and Stephen have a pretty good friendship, and he's a lot of great things going on in his life. Still racing, still out there competing. What's his future? What's he been up to, and how are you guys working together to keep his racing going and keeping him on the racetrack?
Good question. Thanks. I talk to him every single day. In fact, I'll see him in a little bit when I leave here. But he just had a baby.
Right.
Had a baby, and she's a small one. Her name is Nova, and she's about 7.5 pounds. And Stephen is turned into this incredible fabricator. You ought to see him, the things he does in fabrication. It just blows me away. And he's built some really cool cars. He's built this incredible C10 Chevrolet truck right now. So he's going to be selling a lot of custom stuff, but he loves his short track racing. And he's running all the Fury-style cars right now, and the beautiful cars. They're picking a new one up today that the mad scientist over there, Tony Uri Jr. and Sr. have been working on, and they're going to deliver that to us today. So I can't wait to see what this rocket ship looks like. But Steve loves doing that type of stuff, and he was up. I think the last race he ran was a big race up in Kinley, North Carolina, and he was running second with a handful of laps, and we blew an engine. So now the next race he'll be at the Motor Mile up there, running the race up there. But he loves the super late models. What he really wants to do, he's hot and cold on wanting to get back in the NASCAR because he's having a good time what he's doing. Now he's got the baby, and he's likes messing with these hot rod trucks and his short tracking. But he said if I ever went back into it, I'd want to do the truck series. He really likes the truck series. He thinks it fits his style better, But he's doing real well. He's really matured, older now. He used to be wild and crazy as all hell, but that's not the Steven you got right now.
I don't know if you've heard this story. Maybe you have, but long time ago, we used to go out on the lake on Sundays, or I guess it was Sundays or Mondays. Anyways, we had a race, and it was on the West Coast, and we would get back from Phoenix at about 4 o'clock in the morning. We'd get right on the boat and go out on the lake at 4 in the morning. And so me and my friends, we got a boat full of people driving across the lake. Sun's just starting to come up. We're going to go to this place called the Sandbar and tie up. Well, we get there probably 4 hours, 5 hours before anyone else. And we start drinking, hanging out. And right around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I went downstairs in the cabin and went to sleep. Well, I woke up, and the boat's running. And I'm like, okay, I'm going somewhere. I don't know where I'm going. Somebody's driving my boat. I go up, and there's nobody on the boat. I go upstairs, and Steven's driving the boat. And I was the only one on it, me and him. And I was like, Steven, where are we going? He goes, I'm taking you home, man. We're going to Willie's. Willie's is my stepfather. And him and Willie had become friends through the Pro Cup series when Steven was driving the Pro Cup cars and so forth. And he's like, oh, I know where Willie lives. I'm going to take the boat back. We're going to put the boat up. I'm going to take you home. And I was like, all my friends that I had on the boat to go there were gone.
They left you alone?
Left me.
And Steven was your designated driver.
Steven was the one. Steven was the one guy that was going to make sure my boat got taken home.
I'll be darned.
And
see, there's lots of stories. I haven't heard that one, So he's got a lot of stuff he doesn't tell me, though.
That was one of the nicest things that anybody's ever done for me. And he didn't, he wasn't worried about where the party was going and where everybody else was going.
I'll be darned.
But
he loves his boats, man. He's got a new one right now. He just built. He built this big houseboat. Oh my God, he loves that lake stuff. Yeah,
man, I didn't know that.
Yeah, spearfishing boats and all that.
Yeah.
Put these big old lights on the front of them with generators and stuff, and he goes out there in the middle of the night.
That's what. Yes, we had
bow fishing. Yeah.
Jeffrey, my nephew Jeffrey bow fishes, and he took me out there, and we did that one time. You ever went out with Steven and done it in the middle of the night? It's actually pretty fun. I mean, you just kind of drinking beer and cruising around 5 mile an hour, looking for these these fish.
These ugly ass fish, right?
Yeah, and there's no sights or anything. It's not like you're not aiming really. You're just kind of pointing it at the thing, and it's pretty funny.
That's cool. I'm asking about that story when I see him a little bit.
You should, because I thought that's pretty incredible. I mean, you raised him right. What's Rusty Wallace like as a grandfather?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what, I've changed a lot. I really have, because now I got 4 of them.
Yeah.
My oldest son, Greg, has got Ian, and then we got Caroline and Olivia, little twins. And now we got Steven with Nova, and this is something my wife has waited forever for. She's been waiting and waiting and waiting. Now she's just all ate up in the grandkids, and the other day, or Saturday, we're over at Greg's house for Ian's second birthday, and we got to talk. My phone's full of birthday pictures for little kids and stuff right now. So I'm kind of an old softy right now. I'll do whatever they want. Katie, my daughter's getting married in June 15th in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, down in Mexico, and we're taking all those little babies down there, and that's going to be a ride. That's going to be a trip on the airplane, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're going to be throwing them out on my lap. I'll be holding on to all those kids going down in that airplane while they're all screaming and hollering, probably. But yeah, I've softened up a lot when it comes to that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Well, man, we appreciate you coming on. It's been a lot of fun hearing your stories, and we'd love to have you come back.
Okay.
So, Rusty Wallace, folks.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Thanks a lot, guys. It was
Thank
cool.
you.
Had a lot of good conversation there.
Yes, sir.
All right, Bahama friend, you had his number with a big X through it on your car.
A week after Bristol.
Now, that can't be a show car now. That's got to be your car.
Look, I don't know. Honestly, I promise, I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I do know one thing. That would not have been something that I would have promoted and said to do.
Yeah. Oh man, I think it's really interesting that because I did that too. Like, and I had a Calvin pissing on this guy's initials on my car after he spun me out the week before at Myrtle Beach, and so I mean, I thought that kind of stuff was kind of commonplace. And
well, the Sardines story, that was you and Dale, wasn't it? I mean, maybe that was just a prank. Maybe that was just a fooling around type thing. That's
what I always took it as, is when you'd see that kind of stuff, it was basically just jabs. It was just fun jabs between the teams.
I've never seen individual. Your dad ran in a pack. It never was him doing it.
Yeah.
It was him with, Kirk Shelmerdine or Chocolate or all these guys in this pack, and they're all like doing this thing together. I'll never forget when I get in the damn car at Darlington, and I get in my car and it stinks so bad I can't see straight, and I get in and I sit down and I feel like I'm sitting in a big old mush, and I get out and I'm like, what in the world? And I pick the seat cover up and it's full of sardines, and I back out and I turn like this, and it's not him standing there by himself. There's like 8 of them behind him, like a football team, They're like a football team backing them up, or look what we just did,
So the sardine story is true.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
And how'd you get him back?
I stole his steering wheel the next week at Bristol. When Bristol comes up again, we're getting ready to go. He's back there holding court, and we used to stick our steering wheels on the roof of the cars. And so he's over there just going on and on and on, and I just reached up and took a steering wheel off his hood, off the roof of his car, and I just walked around real quiet. Nobody saw me. Nobody saw me tuck a damn steering wheel off a car. I took the steering wheel, popped off the Velcro, off the, well, no, we didn't have Velcro then. We stuck them on. Then you put the Velcro on for the push button on it. So I took the wheel and I put it in my car. And
you went out on track?
No, I'm sitting there in pit road getting ready to start the race.
Yeah. Oh, shoot, the race.
Yeah, we're getting ready to start the race. And I'm sitting in the car, and they're all buckling down and all that. And I'm just looking in the mirror of the car, and I'm looking, and all of a sudden I see panic going on. They're all going ape. Everybody's going nuts. And where's the wheel? You got it. No, I don't have it. Where you got it? No. They're going nuts. I mean, it's just getting frantic. They're freaking out. We're getting ready to say, gentlemen, start your engines in the doggone Bristol 500. And damn, Dale Earnhardt doesn't have a steering wheel, And he's just going crazy. And finally, I reached up, I took the wheel, and I went, oh. And he goes, oh, man, you got me on that one, I said, no more sardines in my seat, dude.
That's epic. That's epic.
A true story.
Why did he put sardines in your seat? Just because?
Because him and I are going for the championship, and he was just screwing with me all year long, trying to rattle me. Yeah.
Holy cow.
It sure was, yeah. Sardines in the seat, man.
Did you guys ever apologize to each other for any one thing? Like, did anything ever go across the line that you're like, I'm sorry, that was wrong?
The closest it came was when him and I got together at Michigan, and it was, it's not a hey like you might do nowadays. It wasn't a man. You know what? I'm really sorry about that. That was just a poor decision. It's my fault. I take the blame. His saying I'm sorry is, hey man, I'm over that shit. What about you? Hey man, I'm over that shit. You okay? You okay with that? Yeah, I'm okay with it. Okay, bye. That's it. That's how that went.
That'll do.
You're talking like 3 or 4 seconds, and that's about it.
That's great.
It's crazy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
All right, you bet. Thanks.